how did we see Jay Fondren's relationship with his son change as a result of Knowledge Point Network? It should be said that Jay Fondren is a triple amputee. He lost his legs for our liberty in Afghanistan, and Jay is a father of 6 children. And how we came to be working together, Jay and I, is because his 16-year-old son approached me and he asked me, he said, could you teach me how to safely operate motorcycles to be able to ride on these public lands that my father swore an oath to protect, right? And so his son approached me and asked, and I said, you're gonna have to ask your father. For me to be able to teach you, I want you to go to your father. Now again, I'm just reiterating, Jay is a triple amputee, he's in a wheelchair. And he said, yes, I approve. He says, you will have to teach my son because I can't. I don't have legs.
So when I got out of the military, I got busy working. Right? Some people did therapy. I went back to work, and I was very successful at what I was doing, but had no joy in it. Even though it was a worthy cause, just had no joy in it. And then doing the other stuff and making the appointments, and it never was healing between me and my kids. You know, things that I look back on growing up, like playing ball with my dad, and all the time we spent on the road going to ball games and doing different things. I was letting my disability kind of get in the way of me being able to do that with them, not for lack of wanting to, but lack of the ability.
The fear when you come back, it's constant. You're never not on guard. So you never really sleep. You never really just drive to the store. You never relax. And I lived through that fear for a lot of years. I didn't know there was a problem.
A lot of our members have their own challenges in life, whether it's stress or PTSD or disability from being a veteran serving the United States of America. Traditionally, a lot of the solutions to those problems haven't really worked for them. A lot of it is maybe because they just don't feel comfortable going to those different channels for solutions. Maybe they feel like it's not right for them to open up. They don't feel the ability to open up.
The big miss for the world is that the clinical and the doctors and the medication, that's all fine and well. But if you don't put the coal back on the fire, so to speak, if you don't get the guys outside of themselves and back around people to where they feel that community that you had, they're not going to get better. They're going to check those boxes just like I did, go to your meetings, your counseling, all those things, and you're not going to find healing.
I'd say what makes Knowledge Point Network unique compared to others is the depth at which we will go after resolution. What really separates us is that we can accelerate to trust so quickly, revolving around destigmatizing mental health conversations, and then be able to get them on a path to reduce self-harm.
I hit a wall. I hit that moment where I knew I needed help. I mean, I sat on top of, and being completely open and honest, I sat on top of the building where I worked and spent about 6 hours considering jumping off. And that was, my marriage was ending. My career was, at that point, going to be over. I couldn't do life like I did anymore. And that drove me to find a new path.
What makes Knowledge Point Network different is that we go shoulder to shoulder. So we're looking together, right, as opposed to one another, and we get beside each other and we just endeavor and start walking down a path together.
From the minute I got here, I realized there was something different about this place, about what Ed's doing out here in the woods that is what veterans need.
Not being able to do the things you need to do as a husband and a dad, right? Like not being able to teach Micah how to throw a baseball or play football or I played soccer growing up, playing soccer or riding a motorcycle or any of those things that you look forward to as a young parent, being able to teach your son and your kids. taking them out hunting and camping and outdoors. Those kinds of things were things that I didn't think that I'd be able to do. And with the help of people like Ed and good friends, I was able to do a lot of those things with him, just in a different manner. Right, I couldn't teach him to ride a dirt bike, but having friends like Ed and KPN and those guys, and that's really kind of how Ed and I kind of got to know each other, as we had met up and we were out here looking at some stuff for veteran issues, and I knew Ed liked to ride, and the boys have been asking me if they want to learn how to ride, and I asked Ed, I was like, hey, do you know anybody that can teach my kids how to ride or help me teach the kids how to ride? And he goes, yeah, let them up, come on out to the forest, and we'll make it happen. And that's kind of where he and I started hanging out and teaching the kids to ride and bonding over the time we spent outdoors doing activities. That's really been a huge blessing for us.
I've heard from one member that he said they went through 10 different programs to try to find a way to deal with his problems, and Knowledge Point Network was the only place that he felt comfortable and happy to deal with those problems, to where the problems weren't even there anymore. And that's the whole point of Knowledge Network, is to forget the problems, forget that they're even there, and it helps to deal with the actual problems themselves.
I made a life work where I can get out and help my brothers that are hurting, because I have been to the bottom. I have crawled along the bottom for years and years and years, and I found a way out, and what that brought me to was helping other veterans.
Yeah, so being able to come out and spend time outdoors with my boys, teaching them to do stuff, or being here while they're learning how to ride and enjoy, it's really been a game changer in our relationships, because so much of the other time that we've had together has been very critical, or I need him to help me with something, or he needs me to help him with something, and I can't quite do it. And then and so it's just a lot of tension. But out here, I've got Ed and the other guys, and they just kind of love on him, show them how to do it, get them on the trail and send them out. And he came back in with a big smile on his face, and they come back. We get back to the house, and they're tired, but they've enjoyed the day, and I get to be part of that experience with them. I'm not just sitting on the sideline or in the stands or disengaged, but I get to be actively participating in them coming out here and having fun.
The surprise about KPN is that it's not just out here in the woods riding bikes, and that's what a good organization does for veterans, is that you're going to give something more. You're going to give a group of people that are open and willing and honest and able to hear, the things that we have to say as a veteran community, as someone who is struggling. There's examples of that I've seen that have happened, where guys show up and they're closed off, but then they open up because you're away from the noise of life, you're away from your responsibilities, you're away from all of these things that have kept you in your shell, and you can relax. Lose yourself. You can't think about anything else. There's not very many things in this world that allow that to happen, and that happens here.
So by donating and supporting it, you're helping people like me have these positive shared experiences that were actually proactively being involved in our kids' lives, whereas before it's a real struggle for us, especially combat vets with PTSD or disabilities. It's a real struggle to connect. And over here, we're connecting over something like the trails and nature, and we get to bond, and it allows us opportunities to have positive interaction, which promotes us to be able to heal those traumatic wounds of both combat and from coming back and not being in the right headspace and timing to correctly engage our kids.
When you make a donation to Knowledge Point Network, we have a team of people that take that donation and scale it to really make an impact to the uses of where that money goes. It may be a small donation for you, but it's a very big impact to the forest, the trails, the veterans. There's a lot of moving parts to keep the trails not only open but maintained. There's a lot of volunteer hours, there's a lot of equipment rentals, and just equipment in general that all costs money. The only way to keep the effort going is to donate.
I still have problems sleeping, but as opposed to staying up for 9-10 days in a row, my nightmares are mostly gone. KPN is one of those special places where you can let go of what you're holding on to for a minute, and putting that burden down for a minute, it makes you able to carry it for a day, a week. just setting it down and getting away is what helps you keep going on.